What's up, everybody? On a podcast now, PS edition. I am Alex. In this video, I want to talk about why Iron Man VR was delayed. I want to ask it as a question because I'm honestly quite intrigued or quite interested in why it was delayed. Now, this is obviously not the newest of news. A few days ago, obviously, Iron Man VR and The Last of Us Part 2 were both delayed. We talked about The Last of Us Part 2 on podcast now, but I did want to talk about Iron Man VR because I feel like it's a little bit more of an issue or something I can talk a little bit more about with Iron Man versus The Last of Us. When The Last of Us, or when Naughty Dog, I should say, when Naughty Dog issued their statement, okay, and Sony did too, they both issued statements as to basically why The Last of Us Part 2 was getting delayed. And there was some, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I don't know, the insider stuff, but in my opinion, I felt like some of them were pretty conflicting. I feel like you could have read it, and some people are taking it as this is just kind of something that they're hiding behind as saying that Naughty Dog just needs more time, that it's not done yet. Then there's been rumors, or even Jason Schreier had said, like, no, this is specifically Sony's call. This is specifically something Sony wanted to do because of what's been going on around the world, right? And that it's creating a problem. They want everybody to be able to play this game on time. My question is, and again, because people aren't really talking about it, Iron Man VR, why that one? When you think of The Last of Us, I do understand it. I do understand if the idea is you want everybody to play at the same time. You don't want a Final Fantasy VII situation where basically half the people, I mean, not literally, but lots of people are getting Final Fantasy VII early. Different companies are giving out the games. Different companies are selling the games early. Different regions of the entire world, like Australia, for some reason, like they're getting the games early, stuff like that. And people are just getting this game at all these different times. The review scores aren't even out for Final Fantasy VII, and yet it seems like a large, chunk of people are getting to play the game. So it's just very, very strange, with that situation. That's a really messed up situation. So I do understand it. For The Last of Us, you want people to play it all together. Maybe you don't expect everybody to be playing the game digitally. Maybe a lot of people, and they would know this too, right? Because they would see the pre-order numbers. They would know that kind of stuff. Maybe lots of people pre-ordered it physically, that they want the game physically. Again, like I've said in the past on either of these channels, I myself would have probably gotten The Last of Us Part 2 physically. Definitely not anymore. And I was kind of leaning a little bit more towards digital as the days went on. But originally, I probably would have said I would go for physical. But for Iron Man, I really don't understand it, truly, because Iron Man is weird, and I don't know if it helps Sony's argument or hurts Sony's argument of what's going on with Naughty Dog and The Last of Us. Because again, people kind of are reading into that kind of conspiracy-wise, like, is there more going on there? Iron Man, what exactly is the reason for pushing it? Because it's a VR game. How many VR games, by the way, do you go and flood GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart, Target? How many of those VR games do you guys go flood your local, gaming store for? Not many. Most VR games, I would argue, would probably do their best sales digitally. I don't know that 100%, but I would wager a bet that if you looked up, say, the top 10 selling PlayStation VR games, I'd say all of them have sold more digitally than physically. So when it comes to Iron Man, I really don't understand why they did that. Now, again, something to talk about with Iron Man is this game was already supposed to come out. Remember, this game was supposed to come out in February, I think around Valentine's Day or on Valentine's Day, February 14th. It got delayed 3 months, basically, to May. I think 3 months to the day, because it was supposed to come out like May 14th, and now that game has been delayed again. So it's and I understand why people are saying that maybe it's something going on in these studios, because you look at Naughty Dog, Last of Us has probably been delayed. Well, we know it's been delayed at least one time, but really I'd say internally it's been delayed like 2 or 3 times. There was a lot of talks that they wanted to get this game out last fall. Obviously that didn't happen. Now again, you don't know if that's true or not, but let's say that game has been delayed 1 to 2 times. It doesn't make it look very great. And again, I'm not blaming them. If the reason is what's going on, fine, completely fine. If it's because of the studios themselves, just tell us. That's another thing is I think I should maybe make that clear. So let me make that clear right now. I'm fine with delays. We're in the year of delays, right? These movies, now a lot of these movies are being pushed just because of what's going on, not necessarily because they need more time to be worked on, stuff like that. But I'm fine with delays. I'm completely fine with consoles being delayed. I'm fine with games being delayed. Delaying a game ultimately, hopefully, I guess, makes the game better in the long run, right? It gives gives them more time to work on it. And again, that's kind of the case with everything. So I have absolutely no problem with that kind of situation, okay? Absolutely no problem. I just want to know the actual, that's why I kind of just want to know the actual reason. If it's because of the development of these games, just tell us. But the way that Sony's saying it is that it definitely sounds like it's just because of economics, right? It's just because of that. But then you think about it, and again, even with what Naughty Dog said, Naughty Dog kind of made it more like they could use the extra time. Now, again, maybe that was just them throwing that in there as well. And even if that wasn't the reason, well, The Last of Us has been delayed a few times due to Naughty Dog, right? Due to it not being ready. And again, completely fine. I'm just throwing that in there. Iron Man, you look at that as well. You say, well, that game was delayed for 3 months. Maybe they needed a little extra time. Maybe they need an extra 1 or 2 months. It's just weird that game got thrown in because I really, with the again, if you go Sony's route, if you just believe what Sony said, if it's because of the economics of it, how does Iron Man really get affected? We've seen Doom, we've seen Animal Crossing, we've seen Resident Evil 3 now, we're about to see Final Fantasy 7. All these games are coming out, they're doing just fine. In fact, Animal Crossing is breaking records, Doom is selling really, I mean, a lot of these games are doing really well. Physically, probably not. In fact, especially in certain areas of the world, they're probably doing terrible. But digitally, they're doing insanely, insanely well. And again, a game like Iron Man VR games don't do well physically. I don't 1,000% know that, but I'd wager a bet that these games aren't selling millions of copies on disc, okay? I have a PlayStation VR. By the way, I should probably throw that in there too. I have a PlayStation VR. I probably will end up getting Iron Man, and I have, I believe, one game out of, say, I don't know, 10 to 15 VR games. I have one game physically, and that's the Batman game that came out like right when it first released. That's the only game I have physical. So I don't know. I'm just one person. I understand that, but I just feel like that's not a good enough excuse. In fact, that's not an excuse at all for why you delay Iron Man. At the end of the day, is this like keeping me up at night? No. Whatever reason they have some sort of reason. I would just like to know if they're creating like a fake reason, and if they are, why. Again, it's not fake, but it doesn't really seem to apply to Iron Man, so I'm not really sure why that was delayed with The Last of Us, unless they have some sort of really elaborate plan that we all don't know. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Why was Iron Man VR delayed? Are you guys looking forward to it? Are you guys excited for it? I definitely am. We'll be covering it as we get closer, and once the game actually comes out, we'll absolutely cover it here or on podcast now, or both if you guys want. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up, and thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I do a new video on this channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.